Well, let's take a further look at this burning issue at the moment. And joining us live from Abuja studio is a labor, industrial law and relations expert, Mr. Monday Ajay. Thank you for joining us on the News at 10.
Thank you very much.
Now, what do you think about the resident doctors' strike on the one hand and then government's position on the other?
If you look at the situation critically and the step taken by the federal government, you will discover that the order or the utterances of the Minister of Labour in the circumstances is very, very unfortunate. Because when you look at the nature and the service being rendered by this set of individuals, you will appreciate the angle at which they are coming from. And in the first instance, you will discover that there is a particular issue on ground leading to the other action. If the government on its own side have fulfilled its own side of the contract, I think the issue of strike or no strike today wouldn't have been an issue that we'll be discussing today. But because a particular factor or a particular set has failed to discharge its own responsibility accordingly, that is why we are discussing issue of strike or no strike today. And when you have a system or a government who is not willing, by conduct on several occasions, we don't need to tell stories about this, that is not willing to obey simple contracts, which they were not forced or being made under duress. They enter into this contract willingly on their own, and all of a sudden they refuse to play their own side of the contract. Then it's very, very unfortunate, and that's where the trust and confidence of every citizen hands up, and that's why most of all these things are being playing out today. But on the part of the medical practitioner, to me, I must commend them and also appreciate the angle they are coming from, because a laborer deserves his wages. But having made that point, no, they should also remember by oath of their office that they must save life first. And not only that, they should also note that when we are dealing with human life, there is no room for spare life anywhere. And this course of action or strike must have caused a lot of loss of life, which we can no longer bring back to life. So I will also advise them that this option of a strike should be sparingly used, and they should look for other alternatives that they will use to press home their demand than putting the lives of people into jeopardy. Because most of these ministers we are talking about, with respect, they don't have their case here. They are entitled to treatment overseas here and there. So anything that happens here is the masses that suffer. So for the sake of the masses and the oath of office they are taking, we will appeal to them that they should exercise some level of caution and do the needful for the safety of life of everyone in the country.
The federal government's position of no work, no pay, I mean, is it hasty? Do you think it's reasonable at this time?
Legally speaking, the government have the right to go by that. But when you look at employee and employer relationship, it's a special relationship that you don't want to be too harsh about it. And that's why when you get to some of our judgments, it's neither here nor here, because the court is always being careful because of the nature of that relationship. The government cannot just wake up and say, look, you will not get your pay because you have not been coming to work when somebody is pressing his own demand. It's not done. It's not proper. In fact, to me, they are adding more problem to the already existing problem, which will not help the system. Naturally, it's just like what I said legally, but it's not everything you apply law. You must apply human face and do the needful so that the masses, it's just like the case of the two elephant fighting now. It is the masses now that will suffer this. So, to me, that's not the best way to go about it or to handle this situation.
Well, Mr. Ajay, it seems you're sitting on the fence, in this case. I mean, these two groups, NARD and then the federal government, they're maintaining hardline positions on this issue. What should be the way forward, the meeting point?
The way forward is that the government on its own should learn how to honor simple contract. You understand the situation in Nigeria. Apart from medical, the other labor unions that are fighting the same cause, the government should learn how to at least obey simple contract. And again, too, the government should also come out with all these employees, and explain to them in case there are certain challenges that will cause them not to fulfill the outside of the contract. It is then these employees will now have this sense of belonging that, look, our employer really have our mind, they have us in their mind, and then they will suspect that. But the moment you don't even call this individual and sit reason with them and explain this to them, all what you are giving is threat, and you wait till the last minute. Because when you look at the situation in Nigeria, we like moving towards the die minutes time. We don't do things at the appropriate time. This individual has given government notices long ago. For how many days, for how many months? For government to wait till the time they will go on strike. And the labor minister will be telling that they have not served a notice and that. The question is, ask the minister, is there any breach of a contract between him and the employees? If the answer is yes, why? As a government, I think that's not a good system. So to me, the way forward is for the government to live up to their own expectation. And again, too, the medical doctor should also learn that it's not all power that is given to you by law that you exercise in the interest of the entire nation. Because we're talking about sacrosanct of human life. It's very sacrosanct indeed that the moment one is gone, you can't get it back again. So they should operate at this level and exercise constraint. And also note that there is life to live after this particular government, and they will surely get what they want one day or the other. But life is what they cannot get. So they should be guided by this principle and maintain the oath of office they have taken so that they will be able to protect life of every citizen. Indeed,
especially as we battle the pandemic. We'd like to thank you, Labour Industrial Law and Relations expert, Mr. Monday Adjei. Thank you for joining us on the News at 10.
Thank you very much for having me.